Hi, I'm Pete, and this is a follow-up video on the Professor Skewb and the Grilles II puzzles I unboxed recently. Now, at my last video, I was having some problems with the Professor Skewb. I didn't like the stickers. Some of them were falling off. Many of them were misplaced. I fixed that with some super glue. Just peel the sticker off, put a dot of super glue with a needle. Where the sticker goes, plunk the sticker back on. For the bigger stickers, I pull it off. I use a needle to spread a little bit of super glue, not quite around the edges, but just around the middle, and then stick it back. So that was fine. That's easy to fix, and that happens to any puzzle, even some really good puzzles. The other issue I was having was with the turning of this puzzle. The turning was absolutely atrocious, and I will say that after some work, the turning's better. That's all I'm going to say. It is better. So what I did was I took the puzzle completely apart, and what I found was that the centers, the actual mechanism is at each vertex, and there are two types of center. There's one that's part of the core. There are 4 of those, and then there are floating centers. There's 4 of those as well. They all have the same kind of mechanism. There's a 3-part corner that holds these trivial tips here. There was a lot of flash in the mechanism for all of them, especially the ones that were on the core. Literally the bottom of the part that turns had flash on it, and it was pressed up against the core. So I took that all apart, I lubed it, and the net result is that indeed it is, it's turning better. Still not great, but it is turning better. The other serious flaw, it was in the puzzle, that these centers are actually made of a 2-part mechanism. There's a sort of a curved piece that goes under it, and then the square centerpiece is in a slot, and it's screwed together. And those were all so tight that when you tried to turn the adjacent pieces, they actually would get caught underneath the centerpiece. So I just turned these screws about not even a quarter turn, like just a little bit, just enough to pull a piece up in its slot, and it made things a lot better. The pieces slide better now. So you can see that the things did improve. These trivial tips, as I was saying, that the 4-part corners, and both of them are the same, whether it's the part that's attached to the core or the part that's floating. They're the same. There's a 3-part piece that you can pull apart a little bit, and then put a little bit of lube in these trivial corners, and they turn a lot better. Trivial tips, I guess you'd call them. So there you go. So it's turning better. But here's the thing. So I actually got to the point where I thought, well, I'll try a 3-cycle just to see what I've got. Okay, and the problem is that even with the better turning, as you can see, I mean, this is just trying to do a very basic 3-cycle. So it sort of gives you an idea of what the solve might look like, but even that, I don't know. I'm going to go back and I'm going to try to tighten the mechanism a little bit. I may have left it a little too loose, but I just don't really know if I'm ever going to be able to. Okay, well, I guess the puzzle just answered the question there. So there you go. That's pretty much what I expected to happen. And it's fine if you're just playing with the puzzle and trying to figure out what it looks like. But if you're in the middle of a solve, that's probably, most of us that solve puzzles are pretty would not take that well. Let's put it that way. I don't want to use the word obsessive. All right, so that was the wow. That was right on cue. Seriously, I didn't plan that, but there you go. So I think we'll just chalk that up to being a flawed puzzle. It'll probably sit on myself for a little while, and at some point I'll just drop it in the waste bin, as I've done with a few other flawed puzzles. The last one was, I think, the 2x2 Megaminx. I remember that. Ugh. Okay, so that was the bad news. Now the good news. The good news is this. The Grilles II. This is a fantastic puzzle. I've solved this quite a few times. I've adopted what I call the jam jar grip, which helps the turning. I mean, there's a lot of things that are moving on this puzzle, but just in terms of being able to solve it, it is a little catchy, but honestly, I don't have any problems. And I have powered through some snags in this puzzle. I know that some people online said that it had popped on them. I haven't had that issue. Having said that, the first thing I did before I really did anything else with the puzzle, I took all of the centers off, and it's a little complicated to take the center off, but basically I got something pointy just under here, and the center pops off. And inside there's a pretty complicated mechanism. There are two springs, there's washers, so as you're pulling it out, do be careful. The lower spring will sometimes stay inside the mechanism. So I lubed everything, and then I tightened the phases down as tight as they would go. Went around and loosened them until I could just barely turn all the faces. And I solved it a couple times, and then I loosened it just a tad more. So it was fairly tight, and as you can see, it's broken in very, very nicely. And you know, as long as I do my part, it's actually proved to be a very reliable puzzle, and you know, it works well. The solve is fun. I solved it a few times, and it seemed okay, you know, not super challenging. And then I got this weird parody where I had a couple of pieces swapped, and then I went online and I was on the Twisty Puzzle forum where they were talking about other types of parodies you could get, and it's fascinating. The parodies aren't really hard to fix, but basically it's sort of like the cuboid parody or the Red Bull parody that you get, or you can get swapped edge parody, very similar to some of the parodies you see on a 5-layer puzzle. But of course you can't use your usual algorithms because you don't have the 5th layer. You have is, well, that one and that one, I guess, is what you have. And so it is fun. It's interesting. There's different ways to solve it. So for example, solving these little circle sectors, that's what that shape's called, not a triangle. Anyway, solving these little triangles, you can do them right at the beginning, and then that puts some constraints on you. You can leave them to the end, and then you have to do some center rotations to solve them. So there's a variety of ways to solve the puzzle, which just makes it interesting and kind of fun. So I'm really glad I got this one, Grilles II. And apparently, I don't know, maybe there was a Grilles one. I'm still not sure about that. But I'm really glad I got this puzzle. It's been a lot of fun. All right, well, that was it for my follow-up for the MF8 Grilles II and the unfortunate and sad Diane Professor Skewb. I have to find the rest of those pieces at least and put it back together. You know, it's not hard to put back together, but it is kind of very, very, yeah, I don't think I'm going to be able to solve that one. Alright, well, that's it for this video. If you have any comments, let me know. Have you had some flawed puzzle? I'm kind of curious about that. What puzzle do you have that was flawed? Yeah, anything else you want to tell me in the comments or ask. Alright, until next time, thanks for watching. Ah.